was optimistic in September, but by October I was out of the lofts. And I remember a wise man once told me that all hope can never be lost, 'cause a blind squirrel finds its own acorn every once in a little while. So you gotta keep smiling. It's the Brosuv Fantasy Podcast tonight. Brosuv Fantasy, yeah, you know it's gonna be alright. It's the Brosuv Fantasy Podcast tonight.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first of the Brosuv Fantasy Football Podcast. It is September 15th, 2021. Week one is in the books. We already have our first insane trade that we want to talk about this evening. I will say, we have an excused absence from Ryan Hartz. And welcome to the world, Luna Marie Hartz, Ryan Hart's first-time father. So he's an excused absence. Also, my co-host, Ryan Ghilani, also is getting an excused absence, but for a much less better reason. I think he has he's come down with a little sickness. So in lieu of those guys, we have some other competitors here of BFFL. We have Ryan Gaudy, the reigning champion. Welcome to the pod, Ryan.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And the man he beat in the championship game, Ryan Honhart, is here as well. Ryan Honhart has high points this week, so he's earned that pod honor. Welcome, Ryan.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, so, obviously there's a lot to talk about already, and it's been a while since we did the pod. The last time was the first annual Squirrelies, which was a lot of fun. But we'd be remiss not to talk about the trade that went down today. It was a controversial trade. I myself got heated at points. I think I've settled down a little bit. But let's talk a little bit about this trade, and I'll tell you what it is first. So Mike Machilin, he had a rough first week, only scored 86 points, felt like, one of his top picks, Mike Evans, he felt like, he didn't live up to his potential. He had an injury in Jerry Jeudy that I think kind of scared him a little bit. And what he did was he went and said, Christian McCaffrey's on the block, on the trading block. No one really took him seriously. I know I definitely didn't, but it seems like he was serious because he did trade Christian McCaffrey and threw in Callaway from New Orleans in that trade, and he traded him to Ryan Ghilani, already a very strong team. Ryan Ghilani has added Christian McCaffrey, and he traded away Jonathan Taylor, Mike Davis, and Antonio Brown. Now, hey, I know I have my opinions on this. Hani, why don't you tell us, what's your first reaction? You're one of the more level-headed guys. What's your first reaction? What do you think about this trade?
At first I thought it was pretty dumb. At week one, way overreaction for week one, trading probably the best player in fantasy football, even though he's got brittle white bones. But I can understand Machilin's point looking at it, but at the same time, I can't. You loaded up Ghilani. You loaded up Ghilani for the long haul. You may have made yourself better, but that's just a tough one to swallow for me.
Gaudy?
I think his team did get better. I don't know. I just think after I texted him this morning and said, "Don't do anything dumb," and the half hour. CMC was gone.
Oh, man.
Unbelievable. Petey, what about you? What do you think?
Man, for me, it's not so much about, like, when you look at, okay, you got CMC, you traded him for, some depth. You got AB, you got Mike Davis, you got Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Okay, you got, I think the first two AB, I think Mike Davis, like by week 4, he probably isn't doing anything. He didn't even do anything week 1. It's not so much that. It's just like, why would that be your go-to? Like, oh man, I had a bad week 1. Let me just try to trade the best player in fantasy to try to recover from this. Like, yeah, he had an injury. You can always pick up wide receivers. It's not like Jerry Jeudy is Devontae Adams or Tyreek Hill. Yeah, he probably was due for a breakout year, but your draft him has a wide receiver 3. not a wide receiver 1. You can pick those guys up off the waiver wire. And then he needed an RB2. You got to plug the RB2 hole. I mean, okay, make a trade maybe with one of your lesser players, or
he should have broke the bank today and on Mitchell.
Yeah, right. You could have done that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you still keep CMC on your team. Okay, yeah, if it's not working out by week 4 or 5 and you really, or you face more injuries or whatever, it's just like, I don't know why you go to that. The first thing, like, try some other things, try some lower level trades, try some free agents to plug some gaps. I mean, it just, that was more not necessarily like, oh my God, you didn't get enough for him, which, I wouldn't have made the trade. I understand there's some good players in there. Mike Davis wouldn't be it for me, but again, he's a startable running back, at least for week 2. But it's just, I don't know why you try to get rid of like that trump card. I mean, he had like 20 points. He didn't even score a touchdown.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. My first reaction was, I was incredulous, and then, calmed down a little bit, looked at the roster. Yeah, he was in a bad position because he's starting James Conner, because, Sonny Michel was his RB2. Sonny Michel did absolutely nothing and didn't even get any touches, so he was going to play James Conner. I know you don't want to play James Conner, but then also his flex position, he didn't really have anyone on his bench. But to Honey's point, spend some money. In fact, you haven't even given anyone a chance to break out or anything. People are going to break out that you don't expect. You don't necessarily have to just. And I already said my opinion on AB. I think he's going to be up and down. I think that so he's basically doubling down on Tampa Bay, which has a lot of mouths to feed. I don't know if it makes a lot of sense. I know that, at the end of the day, he feels confident, what makes him happy. He's going down swinging with what he feels is best. If Ghilani marches to the championship with, the squad he has, which I think is definitely one of the stronger squads, and he got stronger today. He definitely got stronger. I'm not going to be happy simply because, Ghilani's insufferable when he has a decent team. I mean, if he wins another championship, I don't even know what I'm going to do.
Well, it'll be his first one. How many points did Mike Davis had last week? 7.2 points. So, I mean, McCaffrey had 15 points. Michelle had essentially 0.
He had 1 carry.
Yeah, I mean,
look, Mike Davis isn't a bad player, points. But it's a bad team with a bad line and
bad team.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was a bit of an overreaction, even looking at his team, because he still has Kyle Pitts, Jerry Jeudy's going to come back, Nuke. I mean, his team's okay. Burrow's going to throw the ball.
Yeah, it's got good quarterbacks. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just better with McCaffrey on it, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then, you go and you look at Giovanuzzi's team. So already a team we felt was pretty strong. And then, so, his Titans had probably their worst week of the season. I know Derrick Henry has a ton of miles on him, but I'm not necessarily of the opinion that he's going to break down this year or anything. But so he's got Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey. I mean, he has an unbelievable running back room. So the only risk, and he also has Miles Sanders, who looked amazing on Sunday.
So too, he's putting a lot of eggs in that basket.
Yeah,
I mean
he's putting some eggs in Brandon Cooks.
Yeah.
To be his wide receiver too. He kind of painted himself in a corner there. I mean,
the Texans are going to be terrible this rest of the season too, I have a feeling, but they'll be throwing. So
yeah, and I mean, this looks like a good team. I think actually he thinks his team's a little better than it is, because I don't like Jameis Winston. I don't think is going to necessarily throw 5 touchdowns a game, and
he didn't even have 150 yards, Connor.
That's great. That's crazy. But hey, I mean, God bless him. He's got Michael Thomas in his IR. I mean, who knows who Michael Thomas is anymore? I mean, it's been a while since he's been a relevant fantasy player, but hey, he's set himself up for success, and I think he definitely has one of the stronger teams in the league. No. And for him for making this happen, I mean, I know he's playing in the group chat. It's a very fair trade. Mike needed this trade. Jonathan Taylor is just as good as CMC, but he knows he's not. Ghilani's a very smart guy. He knows deep down what he's done, and he's done something that's really helped his chances to win a squirrel.
Yeah, he doubled down. He got rid of a lot of depth, because I feel like if he has an injury, his bench isn't very good. I don't think Mark Ingram is going to be very good, getting 26 carries a week.
No, and I don't really want anything to do with Houston. I think Brandon Cooks is probably the most playable person on Houston. I just don't want, especially that running back situation where they have like 7 running backs. I wouldn't want to. But again, that's a depth piece for him. I guess it could be worse.
Yeah, I mean, starter-wise, though, Brown and Sanders are both questionable, though, so I guess we'll see. Big matchup against Gaudy this week.
Yeah, that hurts. It hurts. Ghilani has a good team for sure, and then
It'd be nice if he pounded him just so he could rub it in his face.
Well, then he would get to say, "See, it was a bad trade. Actually, I lost."
Yep. Let's move on here. I don't want to rag too much on. I think when two people make a trade, and I've had opinions before and I've been wrong, so you really never know. I mean, he might look like a genius. Jonathan Taylor might be better than we all think he is, and I mean we know he's good, but who knows? We'll see.
I mean, I've had very few trades work out in my favor.
Yeah,
One or two.
The funny thing is too, like everybody wants to trade. We all want there to be trades in the league and want it to be exciting. And every time there is a trade, everybody just goes, "You're an idiot! What an idiot! That's a terrible trade! What are you thinking?" And we never know. We never know. We're always wrong.
Yep. Saying anytime you do a waiver pickup, it's always ridicule, and I know it's part of the fun.
Yeah.
I certainly take part of it, and I certainly get it back my way too. Let's talk about some of the week 1 matchups. We'll go through them one by one, and honestly, I feel like a lot of people are overreacting week 1, but that's what week 1 is for, right? I'm going to go down the list, based on what I'm seeing first, and of course, so I see my matchup first when I'm looking at the week 1 scores. So we have Popeye Doyle, who lost to Nooner. Let me go back. I somehow am on the wrong page. So I lost to Nooner here. It wasn't actually particularly close. And to say this for Noon, he was actually, a lot of people were kind of talking smack before the season saying Noon has the worst team. And he came out and beat me by 22 points, 105 to 83. Any takeaways from this? Were you guys surprised about the result? I mean, I kind of expected more from myself, certainly.
I mean, I think if he doesn't play Juju and he doesn't play Fournette, I mean, he's on this podcast instead of me.
That's true. That's true. Jamar Chase on the bench.
Yeah, I mean there's 34 points between the two of them just sitting on his bench. The rest of his bench isn't very good, but no, I was surprised. Dak threw, I think, like over 50 passes, I think, Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
Just racking up points, and Russell Wilson did the same thing, just throwing TDs.
Yeah.
I mean, you tried that last year, the 2 quarterback. I guess as long as you fill in between, we'll see how it goes for him. But good week 1.
Definitely.
That's what I was gonna say. It reminds me of Connor's team from last year. Who'd you have? Kyler and
I had Kyler, and I had Mahomes, so a little bit even,
Mahomes.
A little bit even a little more sexy than his quarterbacks. Although I do, Dak obviously was on that like record-setting tear last year before he got injured, and it looks like he might pick back up where he left off.
Yeah, I think he'll be like your team. Nice, everybody's ripping on you last year. But he did a good job, right? I mean, I don't love Allen Robinson, but Fields gets in there. He definitely is going to have a better second half of the season. He scooped up pretty good running backs late with Harris and Hunt. Jamar Chase with some upside. he can make some noise. And Doyley, I don't put your team to bed. I mean, I think again you picked up Fields, so you got some chance there. And then assuming that the Packers don't shit the bed all year, you'll have a bounce back week.
Yeah, and you know, for my team, I mean, so Ryan Fitzpatrick goes down early in the game. He scores less than 1 fantasy point. So I basically am a man down. And then, you know, Adams and Jones have their worst performances maybe in the past like 2 years. So nowhere to go but up. Certainly, I'm absolutely thrilled with Deebo Samuel. I knew he had talent, but the fact that they're force feeding him the ball, plus Ayuk is in the doghouse. Unfortunately, Ayuk's a great player, but for my selfish reasons, Ayuk in the doghouse. Now I have Deebo Samuel, a guy who I wasn't really sure if I was going to be able to start him. Now I'm definitely starting him. And I'm just going to bide time. Hopefully, I'm thinking, it was such a disaster for the Bears on Sunday night that I'm thinking the pressure. I mean, I know the Bears coach is really dumb, but you got to think, okay, for my job's sake, I got to put in Fields. So I'm hoping that this is the last week. But I think I could actually get away with maybe a couple weeks. Waiting for Fields. I just like the upside of grabbing Fields and just praying maybe I can eke out a win or two in the meantime over, grabbing a guy like, I don't know who's out there. Maybe the best option out there is Mac Jones, who seems like he's going to be better real life than fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, I think Fant will take a step up with the Judy injury.
McLaurin, he had a ridiculous amount of targets, relative to the routes he ran. So I don't think Fant is a sexy pick or anything, but I feel like he's going to get a pretty steady amount of targets.
Yeah, the Rams offense is looking good with Kupp there. I wouldn't bury your team. I still think you gotta.
No, I'm not burying my team. I'm trying to give him a pep talk. I ranked him 12th in power rankings, but no, I mean, Kupp going off with Stafford was a huge boon. I love to see it because everyone was unsure. They were thinking it was going to be good. It seems like a good duo there, but no, I think the Rams offense is going to be spectacular.
I'm fairly certain Aaron Jones has been on the last 2 Squirrel Championship teams.
I mean, he's been so good. He's somehow underrated. People don't really see him as
Gaudy.
like a top.
So if the trend continues,
I can only hope and pray, honey. Really.
Well, the cool thing or the fun thing is like you got now with Hurts and Fields, like they could maybe not come to fruition, but you got like sick upside there between those two. If both of them hit, or at least one of them hits every week, you'll be nice. And again, the Packers, if they don't do what they did this week, the rest of the year, I think you're in good shape.
Absolutely.
McLaurin would be the only concern because he's now playing with who? Heineken.
Yeah, I mean he's played with worse quarterbacks. I mean last year he was with Alex Smith, but I mean I do it takes a huge hit. I mean to me, my perception of him, I thought, okay, this guy's got top 10 upside with Fitzpatrick, who loves to throw the ball, and now I'm not sure it's there anymore. He might be more of a top 15 play, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, if he's my third best wide receiver, that's A-okay with me. Or maybe even fourth if my boy Deebo continues that run. So let's move on here. We got Team Bengals. Team Bengals actually, honestly, in my opinion, I was not too high on him coming in, but he did score over 100 points. Could have beat a number of teams out there, but he ended up losing to Ricky, whose team name is what's Phil's phone number. It was 117 to 102. The thing with Pat's team is, I really don't like the quarterbacks. But again, I mean, Daniel Jones, even so bad, he still scored 21 points.
Who are the quarterbacks for the fans out there?
Big Ben, Jones. I mean, he put up a goose egg with Gesicki, and Saquon Barkley and Najee, I think, scored like 7 points between them.
Yep.
Otherwise, he'd have had a pretty good week, but...
Yep. CeeDee Lamb and Thielen. Thielen just gets those fucking red zone targets, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He just they just feed him, those targets in the red zone and in the end zone. It's impressive. Yeah, I mean, and he's got Chris Godwin as his third wide receiver. So, this team, especially because those running backs those are some of the worst weeks they'll have. This team might have a higher floor than certainly I thought.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with those quarterbacks, though? Quarterback league.
It's a super flex league, Gaudy.
Yep. Yeah, hey, he drafted those guys. I mean, maybe he's planning on making a run at a Trey Lance or maybe someone if one of the rookies ends up playing a little better. I hate the 2 QB limit, but it does give him options. He's not necessarily married to those guys. And again, everyone laughed at Daniel Jones, but he still had 21 points. It was a respectable outing for, it's not going to lose you a week if your quarterback gets you 21 points.
No.
He had the 13th best week amongst quarterbacks. And then over on Ricky's side, I know a lot of people are really high on Ricky's team. He's got a little bit of a dicey situation at running back, but otherwise a very good team. He's got Mahomes and Rodgers, so he went heavy on the quarterbacks. Rodgers did absolutely nothing, and he still scored 117. Rodgers had 1.32 points, which is almost hard to do.
Yeah. Melvin Gordon definitely overperformed. He had 100 yards, with 70 of them came on 70 yards, and his touchdown.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had 15 carries.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to count on him week to week.
But I would expect him to do more going forward.
Mm-hmm. And Diggs had a pedestrian game by his standards too, but I think when you look at this team, it's one of the stronger teams out there. I would expect him to be a playoff team, and Lockett looked amazing. I feel like a lot of people think of Lockett as a boom or bust guy, and maybe he is, but that Seattle offense, they're saying they might really let Russ cook this year, so he might have kind of gotten a steal there in the draft.
Yeah, he only had 4 catches and 2 touchdowns, so that's a 50% touchdown rate. That's not going to be sustainable, but still probably going to get catches and yards.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you guys this. Which team would you rather have going forward? Ben Jails or Phil's phone number?
It's a great question. Yeah. I'd rather have Benjels.
Yeah, Benjels, they just need to find a tight end, and they have the same plan that several teams in the league do this year, I've noticed, which is, waiting on these rookie quarterbacks and trying to scoop up the rookie quarterbacks when it's their time to start with the fab. And, hey, a lot of people have that plan, but if you're the one that executes it, he picks up a Trey Lance. I think you were smart to get Fields before anybody else. He picks up somebody like that, then, who knows?
Here's the reality. When you wait, there's enough people that I think are waiting. They're a little insecure about their second quarterback. They have their eye on it that once Fields gets named the starter, you're going to have to spend probably $85, 85% of your budget. Don't you think?
All of it. You're going to have to spend all of it. Whatever.
Or just to make sure you get him. Lance, I feel like if Lance was as close to starting Fields, I would almost prefer Lance just because he's got that mold where he's going to run like crazy. And I know Fields does have some rushing ability too, but Lance in the preseason was just kind of tantalizing. So I don't know. I feel like I didn't want to be in a situation where I feel like, okay, I have no second quarterback and I better not miss out on Fields. So that's why I grabbed him early. But
I think I'd rather have Pat's team also. I think, although I hate his quarterbacks, I hate Big Ben. I think you're going to see a lot of 12, 15-point weeks. And Daniel Jones, I guess, he stinks, but somehow he produces fantasy points. I just don't like him.
Does he, though?
That's because
I remember
he
making fun of Michelin last year for taking him, and he put up like 25 against the Steelers week 1, and then week 3 he was off his team. Like he sucks.
I mean,
he got that rushing touchdown, and he does have a little bit of low-key rushing ability, which kind of keeps his floor a little higher than like I think I'd rather have Daniel Jones than Big Ben, honestly.
Oh man, I don't know.
But I mean, I'd rather have none of them.
Yeah.
Let's move on here. We got Oozing Machismo with a resounding victory, most points in the league over a very early favorite. A lot of people were really, really liked Andrew's team, myself included. I think I ranked him as the number 1 team after the draft. I thought he crushed the draft, but let's give credit where credit's due. Honey beat him by almost 30 points. Powered by big days by Stafford. Obviously, Tyreek Hill had an unbelievable day. Hawkinson looks like he's going to be a steal. I know a lot of people wanted him. I definitely wanted him. And then Devonta Smith, really nice performance from Devonta. So, and then on Andrew's side, I mean, I guess you got to say a little disappointing. I mean, Calvin Ridley, I felt like really going to make the jump to a top wide receiver this year. He didn't really do much. I'm not sure that's really indicative of anything going forward, but I mean, obviously Amari went off, but then he started Donovan Peoples-Jones and really just, buried any chance he had at making a comeback here. What's your takeaway on this, Gaudy? I mean, I still think Andrew has a good team, but, a little bit discouraged by, Lamar's performance, a couple fumbles, didn't really look too sharp. I'm not sure if it's panic time, but I mean, Honhart just went out and just smacked him right in the face.
Yeah, this to me looks like a classic GB thinking he's going to be good, and I'm not sure why you guys ranked him so high. I mean, Ridley, I did think he was going to be a stud, and he's got Dalvin Cook. Lamar can blow up any week, but I'm just looking at it now, and obviously it's different after week 1. But the Falcons suck. I mean, I think Ridley bounces back, but I had Matt Ryan as my quarterback last year for most of the year. He's fucking terrible. It's brutal having him. If Lamar, the Ravens, they got all these injuries. I mean, Cook will be solid, but maybe not quite what he was last year. Carson, he'll be injured by week 6. Amari, that's a nice pick. But I mean, the quarterbacks, Lamar, if he's not otherworldly, I mean, Tua is not going to do it for you. Corey Davis, I like Corey Davis. I got him in some other leagues, but I just can't imagine he puts up 2 touchdowns every week on the Jets. You got nothing else there. I mean, GB is a team I would look to make a trade if I was GB to try to mix up something sooner rather than later.
I mean, Dalvin Cook's only touchdown came on an overturned Justin Jefferson touchdown from like the inch line.
Yeah. And I mean, that happens the opposite way in a different week and stuff like that. But man.
I mean, from Logan Thomas downward, it just needs some work.
Yeah, really bad from Logan Thomas.
He was real pumped about Tua.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, like taking a shot on Tua, but just didn't seem to be any different than last year.
Yeah, I'm not a big Amari Cooper fan. I go out of my way to not draft him. And I like Ridley. I just don't know what happened with the Falcons. I would have thought they were going to put up at least some points. I don't even think they scored a touchdown.
They were favored in that game by 3.5 points.
Yeah, they got smacked by the Eagles. Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, dude, the Eagles look like they might be a fun team.
Yeah.
Although again, week 1, let's see what happens in week 2. Everyone wants to overreact and stuff. But looking over at Hani's team, I mean, every year recently, it seems like people after the draft, they talk down on Hani's team. They say he doesn't have that good a team, this, that, and the other. I mean, the only thing I can really see on his team, I see 2 things. I mean, Gaskin, he's fine for a RB2, maybe on the low end. And then, maybe that second quarterback might give him some issues. But when I look at, the way he set himself up for success on his bench, I mean, he's just lying in wait for Trey Sermon. I mean, there's probably no one happier, even though he was, a healthy scratch, right? There's probably no one happier about the Mostert injury. And we all love Mostert. He's always so good when he's healthy, and it's unfortunate he got injured. But I mean, you got to be licking your chops. It's only a matter of time till Trey Sermon's in that RB2 slot, and I mean, you're looking at a powerhouse again. I mean, people got to learn to stop doubting Honey.
I mean, all Gibson or Gaskin have to do are fall into the end zone one time, and they're 14, 15 point scores a week. I mean, that's all we need.
Mm-hmm.
And every year I get criticized for taking Tyreek Hill, and every year, week one, he definitely puts on a show.
This was the most ridiculous I've ever seen with Tyreek Hill. Yeah. I was watching that game because I got CEH in a couple places, and it's like CEH is just blocking so they can throw it to Tyreek Hill. Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable.
And he's making tough catches too. He's not making like wide open like bomb catches. He's making some tough grabs, going over the middle. I mean, he had 11 catches.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting like 15, 16 targets a week.
They couldn't stop him because like you don't want to get beat deep. So he just runs like 15, 20 yards and then turns around and runs back 3 yards. He's wide open.
Yep.
It's crazy, man. And everyone always likes to kind of there's really two names that you think of when it comes to wide receiver one. Is it Tyreek or is it Devontae? And I mean, dude, he scored 30 points in the first game. I mean, and Devontae Adams had maybe like 5, so he's already off to a 25-point advantage. It's just crazy. It's a crazy thing to have. That's like, top end talent like that can win you. It's good to have. That's why it's good to have someone like CMC, in my opinion.
Yeah, Honey seems nice, man. Honey seems nice. He just has to plug that RB2 or, like you said, get 8-10 points from Gaskin or Sermon or whoever.
I keep trying. You're not helping me out, Gaudy.
Gibson will be really turning it up now, I think, with the QB injury. I like Darnold with some upside. Stafford obviously was nice. Hawkinson, plethora of wide receivers to mix in and out. So I thought you guys had Honey kind of low in the rankings, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, that's got to be a top 4 or 5 team. We didn't get to the other teams yet, but
yeah.
Nice.
We got a tough matchup this week with Ricky. Another big in-division game.
Yeah. Honey, you can't fault us, man. You always win the league or get second or third. So we're always trying to talk trash on you and say that you suck now. You're over the hill. You're washed up. But,
has anyone got more second place just than Honey? It's crazy.
It's so depressing. I've lost to Gaudy twice. Pat.
At least you're winning some money.
Yeah.
Let's move on to another team here. So we got Hartz, scored 94 points, lost to Ghilani, who also went off this week on 33 points. And the crazy thing with Ghilani is his team, honestly, a lot of the guys he was counting on didn't really perform. Derrick Henry, kind of a weak, I guess you could say. I mean, AJ Brown still had 10 points, so it wasn't that bad. But Tannehill ended up with 14 points. Definitely wasn't his best performance. But, I mean, he had guys go off that I wasn't expecting. Certainly Rob Gronkowski, certainly Jameis Winston. And then really the only person who scored under double digits was Derrick Henry. Obviously, his team looks a little different now. He definitely drafted depth, and he was able to use that to make a trade. But he certainly looks like a contender. We already kind of talked about his team. And then, Hartz on the other side, unfortunately, there's a couple players that he's starting that I'm not too high on. I've made my feelings about Julio Jones well known. I actually tried to make a trade with Hartz, and I feel like I made him a very fair offer this morning, and he disrespected me disrespected my offer, and then he actually came back with another disrespectful offer. But I said, hey, I'll see you in a few weeks when you realize Julio's not going to do anything this year. So he's got a question mark with Julio, question mark with Matt Ryan. You know, and quite honestly, I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I loved him at LSU, and I think he's great. I just don't think they're ever going to use him. Like you said, Gaudy, I don't think he's ever going to have that, the volume that's going to make him, an elite top 10 guy. That's my fear. But again, never ever, go against Hart's luck. It's a powerful thing. Look, we'll see Le'Veon Bell come back and win like the Baltimore job or something like crazy like that, just because he has him. Hart's luck is a powerful thing.
He took.
I don't know if you guys have any differing opinions on his team.
He took a really weird start. He took Allen in the first and then Kelsey in the second, and I feel like that just set his team back a little bit. You know, he missed out on any of the top wide receivers, any of the top running backs. I mean, he kind of got stuck drafting those middle of the road guys like Montgomery and Hilaire, and he didn't have just one of the marquee names to like put on, to put on his team. I mean, granted, Steelers defense is pretty good. I mean, Allen looked okay. I mean, he still had 17 points, and Kelsey had 21 points. But I don't know. I mean, Robbie Anderson had one catch, and it was a touchdown. I don't know. Like you said, Julio Jones hasn't been playing very well. Last year he was okay, but his bench is awful.
I was going to say worse.
No, he's ranked number 1 by ESPN when you look at the final standings projections, and I just don't see it.
Watson is just on fucking crack.
Yeah, the first thing I saw when I said I just looked at the Watson trade analyzer, and he told me to trade Devonta Adams for David Montgomery, and I just that's the type of it's not a smart system at all. It's bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if Hartz were here, he'd defend his position drafting those two guys. But like I said, I think it just set him back a little bit.
The Pirates just walked off the Reds. It was beautiful. I don't know if you guys know this. The Reds are I don't know if they still are after this loss, but they're like trying to hold a second wild card. So it's kind of we have a chance to play spoiler here, but the Pirates just walked off the Reds. I'm only slightly regretting the game now. But anyway, back to Hart's team. Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. There's holes, and I tried to help him out, like I said this morning, and he disrespected me. So I said, "See you in a couple weeks. You need me." Let's move on here. San Antonio Steams, another big. Someone got a lot of preseason love. Seems to have a really solid team, but I actually think there's some interesting week 1 developments with this team. And then he beat a nail biter. He beat Wheezy Wombats 106.14 to 105. So it was very, very close. In Wheezy, he got absolutely nothing from Zeke, and Mostert got hurt. So Wheezy actually had a really great week, some bad luck. And Gino definitely has a good team, but maybe not as strong as we originally thought preseason. I don't know if you guys have any takes on this matchup.
Did they take an overtime touchdown away from Darren Waller?
No, it was something.
No.
They gave him points on a catch, but it wasn't him. And then so Wheezy was winning, and then they fixed it, and then so it was -2 or whatever. So it was just a little short.
Yeah, for some reason they gave Brian Edwards had a long catch, and they gave it to Waller as a scoring error.
Okay.
But yeah, it looked like Wheezy might win with those extra, that overtime. But unfortunately, for me, I don't know. I guess I was kind of rooting against Gino because I feel like he has a good team and he's going to be a big competitor in the division. But unfortunately, it didn't happen.
I feel like Wheezy's another one that should have went all in on Mitchell. I mean, giving Mostert getting hurt and his history of not winning in games in the playoffs, I think he probably should have just rolled the dice and went for it.
He probably is the best running back on the bench in all the league, like Darrell Henderson. Darrell Henderson, he might not be a sexy pick, but he handled almost all the work that he could get So he's got to be real happy to have Darrell Henderson he can plug into his starting lineup here with Mostert out.
Yeah, I think
quarterbacks are a question mark.
Yeah, Wheezy, I think like he kept seeing this value kind of fall to him, and he kept taking position players, which is that's good. He's got a lot of depth, maybe the best depth in the league. But then like you got to go into these games with your quarterbacks as like Baker Mayfield and Teddy Bridgewater. They got to be two like the lowest. Okay, they're not going to kill you maybe, but like the lowest upside quarterbacks on any rosters. If I'm Wheezy, I agree with Honey. I think you got to go in there, make some moves. Wheezy's an accountant, so he doesn't want to spend his money. He wants to hold on to it. That's how he's handling his team right now. I don't agree with it, but I think he's one. He needs to capitalize on this depth, similar to Ghilani, and at least try to get one stronger quarterback. Not sure I totally love his receivers. But again, if you're going to be weak anywhere, receivers probably all right. Just got to upgrade the quarterbacks. Gino's team is good. Again, he's got like all these Jaguars. I guess most of them are on the bench. So it's like the worst team in the league, and we're saying that Gino's got a great team. But he does have some nice players when you go down the starting lineup here with Brady, Kamara, Metcalf. I like Deontay as well. Josh Jacobs, I don't know, but he's an RB2, not an RB1.
2 touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, James Robinson is. I'd be very concerned if I invested in James Robinson. I would be very, very concerned. Urban Meyer's a crazy person, and he doesn't. He just be hell-bent on not giving James Robinson a lot of touches. So I'd be very concerned. Josh Jacobs didn't really have a great game, but he got in the end zone twice. I think he got in there twice.
Yeah.
I think Gino has a good team. I think he probably has the best team in the hipsters division, but I'm not sure it's as fantastic a team as we might have thought preseason. It seems like Lawrence might have some growing pains, which is to be expected. Tanyan, not really sure what to expect to him. I think the running backs, we're not really sure what to expect week to week from Robinson and Jacobs. So, I actually think I'm going to beat Gino this week. I'm going to send him down to earth, and that's what I plan to do. But he's got nice depth pieces. Again, ton of Jaguars, but what can you do?
Too many Jaguars.
Well, I mean, Lawrence had 3 interceptions. I mean, that's -6 points.
Mm-hmm. And he still came away with 19 points, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had 332 yards and 3 touchdowns. But yeah, this week I do like the fact he's traveling to Denver. That's one of the tougher defenses out there. So I'm hoping that he just has an awful week, just for my own selfish reasoning.
Yeah, he's lucky to win this game. I mean, when you look at it, right? Zeke with the tough matchup, Mostert getting hurt. I mean, Weezy starts even Henderson over Mostert. I mean, which he wouldn't have done because he's playing the Lions. But no offense, Honey. But I mean, he starts him instead of Mostert. It's over. 1 point away. Gino seems not. I wouldn't say they're bad. I'm not seeing what.
Not bad.
Some of the rankings. The rankings are seeing there.
Yeah. Let's move on to the last game of week 1 to a team that I love. I've been banging the drum for this team. A lot of people have been kind of let's just call it what it is. They're talking shit. So we got Jonnu Smith statue 123 over Moch with 86 points. Gaudy, I love your team. I've loved it since the second you drafted. I saw what you were doing. It's smart. You had that setback with Ayuk, but it really didn't matter. In Jonnu Smith, you probably won't even start him because Higbee in that offense is amazing. Higbee seems like a steal. It's not even going to matter. It's really not. Like, you got Javonte Williams on the bench. You're just waiting for him to take over. Your running backs are already insane. You got Eckler, Mixon, Swift. I'm really high on those guys, and I just feel like the sky is the limit for this team, and I bet you're feeling pretty good too.
I appreciate the love, especially coming from the everybody's favorite commish, Papa Doyle.
And the worst guy at fantasy football in the whole league, probably.
But yeah, I don't know. I didn't love taking quarterback first, but then we were out in all that land, and just thought, man, how can you pass up Kyler? He could be a league winner this year. And then after I did that, I was desperate to get running backs, and a couple fell to me. One thing I'm worried about certainly is the injuries. You got Eckler, Mixon, and Swift, who are certainly injury-prone type guys. And
if you're concerned about any of those injuries coming to fruition, I mean, like you're still, and I'll take some of your best players.
Yeah, everyone knows if you think someone might get injured, just trade them right away. Get ahead of it.
Get out ahead of it.
It's funny talking about your team. I didn't even mention Kyler, who honestly, is there anyone more fun to watch in football right now? I mean, he just does things that don't make sense. Some of the throws he made on Sunday were just ridiculous. He runs around like a whirling dervish and then just chucks the ball in the air, and he's got some wide receivers to come down with him. It's just fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm sure he won't be doing that every week, but definitely a fun team. You know, that doesn't always score you points, but it does make it a little bit better fantasy-wise. Little weak at wide receiver. Definitely Ayuk kind of killing me there. Wasn't expecting that.
Waddle on the bench, man.
I like Waddle a lot. We'll see. I don't know.
Love Waddle. Terrence Marshall, although he didn't put up points, he got a ton of targets. So I feel like it's gonna. He had 6 targets, but a couple of them I do believe were like in the end zone. He just didn't come down with them. So I feel like Terrence might have a nice breakout season as well.
Terrace.
So what kind of name is Terrence? I always thought it was Terrence. Because Terrace isn't a name. It's a
patio. It's an elevator.
Patio Marshall.
Yeah. So hey, Gaudy, you're feeling good. Big matchup against Ghilani. I'll be watching that. I think that's the matchup of the week. Then looking over at Machillan, we already talked about his team. There's really no need to talk about it more. We'll see. We'll see what week 2 has in store for old Mochi.
What's his team name here? Love me some Joey B.
Yeah, I guess Joe Burrow. I guess he's staking his claim, his love of Joe Burrow. Machillan he said he might come on the pod, and then he just never answered. Classic Machillan. Then he just sent a text to the fantasy baseball group. So I guess he didn't want to come on and defend his trade making. So. Let's run through these week 2 matchups, give some predictions. I haven't really thought about this, so I'm going to be predicting on the fly. Matchup on my screen here, we got Popeye Doyle versus San Antonio Steams. I have thought about this, and I am going to be Gino. I'm going to do it in a controversial fashion by not playing a second quarterback. And I still feel that I have a lot of talent on my team, and I feel like Gino here, some tougher matchups. We already mentioned kind of Trevor Lawrence with a tough matchup. And I don't think I just think I'm going to beat him. I think I'm going to beat him, and there's no two ways about it.
Packers got to bounce back.
They're playing Detroit.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I think you can win this. It's tough without the second quarterback, but I think you can win. Got to watch out Brady. Brady will be slinging it versus Atlanta.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Brady in Atlanta. That's definitely kind of scary. Honey, you have a prediction?
Yeah, I think you're gonna pull the upset of the week.
Wow.
Nice.
3 out of 3. That's crazy. I hope you guys aren't just placating me. Second, and actually a big favorite here, surprisingly so. Ricky versus Honhart here. Ricky, according to the projections, is favored by 9 points. I'm not sure I understand it, but
The quarterback teams, the teams that go with like 2 quarterbacks, they always will be projected like to win or to get more points, I think.
I mean, they only have Sam Darnold to score 13.5 points, Matt Stafford to score 17, Hawkinson at 7 points. I feel like Watson needs to wake up.
Yeah,
we gotta make our own predictor, like trade suggester, and like it can't be any worse. But we gotta come up with a good name for it.
Mm-hmm.
Trade Christian McCaffrey for Jonathan Taylor, Mike Davis, and Antonio Brown.
No, I think it's gonna be another high-scoring game. I mean, we got Tyreek Sunday night. He loves the lights.
Mm-hmm.
He loves it when people watch him. He loves fucking giving the deuces.
Yeah.
Big week here.
What do you think Gibson does on Thursday night?
What's that?
What do you think Gibson does on Thursday night?
I think he has a big week Thursday night.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a steady diet at Gibson. Especially with kind of and I know that a lot of people are talking up Heineken because he played well in the playoff game against Tampa Bay last year, but I think you're going to see a steady dose of Gibson simply because they want to ease him in, and they say New York has kind of a decently tough defense, so I think we'll see a lot of Gibson there on Thursday. I'm a little nervous with my big scary Terry.
They were one of the worst run defenses fantasy-wise this week 1.
Oh yeah,
I thought they had a strong run D. I guess I don't know what I'm talking about.
Who did they play?
That can change so much week to week. They played Denver.
They just gave up that long touchdown. But, I'll take Team Hawny. I think Team Hawny takes this away, barring, like, Rodgers and Mahomes, going 35+. But I'll take Team Hawny. I like Team Hawny here.
Yeah, I never bet against Team Hawny, so I'm going to agree with you guys. Next matchup here, we got Andrew, Team Jackson. At least it's not Team Greg, but Team Jackson is kind of a boring name, against Team Benjels. Andrew's actually projected to win by double digits here. We'll take a look at the matchups and see. I'm not sure who I'm going to go with here. I'm going to have to look at who the matchups are.
I don't know. I feel like Pat can pull another upset.
I like Pat as well. The only thing is Barkley, right? Barkley is the question mark.
Lamar's playing Kansas City, and their defense is decent. Dalvin is in Arizona, and I feel like they just crushed Derrick Henry.
This is a close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm actually feeling.
You got a lot of tough.
I'm feeling Andrew here.
Ooh.
I'm feeling Andrew. I just feel like it's close. This is a good matchup. But I just feel a little bit stronger about Andrew's team. I think Calvin Ridley is gonna have a nice game. I feel like he's gonna be out motivated to kind of come back and show that he's not going to be a bust there. I feel like kind of CeeDee Lamb and Amari kind of cancel each other out. They're both so good. But he's still got Gesicki in there as his tight end. He had 0 catches, and I love Chris Godwin, but you never know who's going to get fed. I just kind of have a little bit of a feeling that AGB is gonna come out and take this one.
Yeah, I'm switching. I'm taking AGB by a nose.
We already know Hani can't say that Andrew's going to win. That would be against his brand.
How many text messages I got after Amari Cooper had 31 points.
That's amazing. So the next one, we got the matchup of the week, Ghilani versus Gaudy. So looking at some of the matchups here, I think we're going to have a nice high-scoring matchup between Tennessee and Seattle. So that bodes well, I think, for Ghilani's Tennessee guys. I mean, he has Christian McCaffrey. Holy shit. Gronk, I mean, I'm not very high on Gronk, but then he's got Miles Sanders, Jameis. I don't know. I mean, I like both these teams a lot. Looking at Mixon, I mean, Mixon's probably going to have another monster week. Dallas, they couldn't stop anything against Tampa Bay, so that might be a nice game for Eckler. Kyler Murray is the man. Yeah, he threw Waddle in there. I love Waddle, and then he's got Swift too. I mean, man, this is an interesting matchup. I almost want you guys to go first.
I'm on the Gaudy train.
Oh man, is that because of the roster or because of the owner?
No, I don't have a whole lot of. I mean, 3 Titans. I mean, you're tying your offense down an awful lot. Brown's questionable for the week. Sanders is questionable for the week. I don't know. I think 3 pieces on one team is a lot to stack, regardless of what team they're on.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Ghilani has just a little bit too much firepower. I know you're right, Honey. I gotta maybe make a trade here for a wide receiver, but I do got to see how these guys do. I think Woods is better than he should. I got to see how they turn out. But my only hope, I think, is that New Orleans does have a good defense. A lot of times that doesn't matter against CMC, but maybe they can slow them down enough to keep me in this one. And Cousins, I mean, if that Arizona defense is that good, then I'm screwed. But assuming the Titans line is just bad and the Vikings are going to be throwing, I think I got a shot. But I'm gonna lean Ghilani in this one.
All right, I'm going to break the tie and lean Gaudy. So we have a hipster division matchup here: South Loop Hawks versus Wheezy 0-1. We all kind of talked ourselves into Noon here, and he does have Jamar Chase in his lineup. He took Juju out. Smart move. Allen Robinson is a wide receiver 1. My hope is that they really struggle so they can get Fields in there, but Cincinnati, I don't know, we'll see. Honestly, I think that I'm giving Wheezy the edge here. Just actually, I can't. How am I going to give Wheezy the edge here with those quarterbacks? No, I'm going Noon. I think we've been underrating Noon. I've talked myself into his team. They both have elite tight ends, which it kind of makes it interesting. I think Fournette's a real weak link. So, I mean, I think it could be a good matchup, but I'm going to go give a slight edge to Noon simply because, those quarterbacks could score heaps of points in both those matchups.
Go ahead, Honey.
I'm definitely on the Noon train. Look at every single team these guys are playing: the Jets, the Texans, the Bengals, the Bears, the Eagles, and the Falcons. I mean,
yeah, I think I'm taking Noon too. Almost in a runaway. We just got to make a move here with these quarterbacks. But let me ask you guys. I know Juju didn't put up a lot of stats, but I thought he actually looked good. Like, why would you start Fournette over Juju or maybe even Chark? Is that a questionable decision, or am I missing the boat?
Yeah, I'm definitely not high on Fournette. I think you could I mean, Juju, it's so funny. Juju has this like persona of being like this like kind of like soft like Gen Z guy stuff, but he is the most hard. He's so hard nosed out there. Like he'll catch the ball, he'll knock you over to get the first down. He plays really hard. He hasn't been a fantasy asset in a while, and I don't think you start Juju, but there's definitely an argument that can be made for DJ Chark over Fournette there. Definitely.
Yeah, I think Fournette, he's just like, wow, you got the 3 running backs there. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, it worked out decently for him in week 1. But I didn't see Juju doing a lot of what I thought he did in week 1. Like he was catching the ball, making like nice quick moves, getting the first down. A lot of mouths to feed in the Steeler wide receiver room, but him or Chark. I like Chark. I think Chark's kind of a boomer bust option, but I like going for the ceiling when you're comparing him to a guy like Fournette. But then again, I mean, maybe he's thinking they're playing the Falcons, right? And that just like Honey said, he'll fall into the end zone one time, and what else? What else do you really need?
Yeah. We got
Right,
final matchup. We got Moach versus Hartz. Hartz is favored by 10 points, believe it or not. But I actually disagree. I like Moach in the matchup simply because I think Moach has the better team, even though he traded away the single best player in fantasy football. Again, I mean, Hartz, call me. I mean, Julio Jones, not a strong wide receiver one at all. I like Chase Claypool. Obviously, he's a Steeler. I love him as a player. I don't think he's top dog in Pittsburgh. He'll get his targets, but I mean, it's the Deontay show in my opinion. I mean, Matt Ryan, we already talked about him. So I think Hartz needs to do some work. I don't see where the love's coming from Watson. I think Watson is a broken computer. I'm not sure how he won Jeopardy that many times. But Michelin, he's a pretty solid team top to bottom there. He's kind of he doesn't really have holes. Whether he has a spectacular team is definitely up for debate, but he doesn't have a lot of holes. Do I think AB is going to score 20 a game? No, far from it. But he has two of the big three and target hogs in Tampa, and so he's kind of put himself in a position that probably one of those two is going to. I'm sure Mike Evans is going to bounce back. Hopkins looked amazing last week. JT looked good. Joey B looked good. I just think Michelin has a better team. Since I'm going with Michelin.
Honey.
Yeah, I'm on Michelin. I'm going straight dogs this week.
Dude, I wish we could have like a bet. We should do some like sports book on betting on these matchups. It'd be so much fun.
I've been there.
I'm gonna go with Hartz this week. I'm not sure if it comes to fruition for him this week, as Michelin's got the two Bucks guys. I mean, what else do you want? What team do you want to play in the NFL if not the Atlanta Falcons? So that is a nice matchup for him. Can't deny that. But I like what Hartz has done here. I think Elijah Mitchell, I mean, big question mark, but a lot of upside there. I like the 3 RBs he's got, CEH and the flex. You got Kelsey. I think Allen can come back to what he was doing last year. Claypool, he was kind of underutilized in the game, I thought. You're playing Vegas. He's definitely going to have some nice plays. I'd be shocked if he doesn't get into the end zone this week. Julio, I don't love Julio, but I don't think he's a bad, wide receiver 2 here. I think really the thing killing Hartz is he's got to do something about Matt Ryan, especially against Tampa. I mean, he might be better off starting Robbie Anderson, to be honest with you. I'm still going to roll with Hartz.
All right. Hey, Gaudy being a contrarian. We've never seen that before. Hey, all right. Well, look, guys, it's been a while since we podded. I'm happy to be back in the swing of things. We are going to do, weekly pods. The high points guy is going to have a chance to come on the pod. If they really don't want to, they can write, a note, a little recap for the league manager note in the on the league page. And look, it's fun to be back in fantasy football. There's a lot of shit talk that we do. We have fun with it. A lot of people think their teams are really great. A lot of people think, their teams need work. But hey, it's a ride, right? We're going to hopefully with week 2 get a better idea of what was an illusion, what wasn't. I think there are a lot of illusions out there, and a lot of people are delusioned by the illusions. So good luck to you all in week 2, and we'll see you guys back on the pod again soon.
Love it. Thanks, Kamish.
See you guys.
Kamish is. Later.
See ya.